everything that generates growth is creating poverty in ecosystems because of that strange definition that if you produce what you consume, you don't produce. Now, nature produces and consumes in amazing cycles of nutrients, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, the cycles that keep this earth alive. But this regeneration is treated as non-production because the idea of GDP is how to extract the wealth from nature and society, and at that time to mobilize funds for the war, to buy all the armaments, to finance all the war research, and more importantly, to deploy all the military all around the world. Sadly, that war machine continues to be the model of our economy. And the idea that nature doesn't produce, people don't produce if they produce for themselves. If you cook a wonderful meal at home, you don't produce. It doesn't contribute to the GDP. You go eat a McDonald's hamburger, you're contributing to the GDP. And then you're contributing extra because then you get obesity and then you get all the things that come with that hamburger. And it's a perpetual growth economy. There's a very powerful way in which in 1968, Bobby Kennedy, in his campaign, this was around the time of the Vietnam War, and he had started to criticize the growth measure. At that time, it used to be called GNP, now it's called GDP, because then they used to measure what a country produces no matter where. Now they measure what is produced in a country no matter by whom, because we are in a period of globalization. So no matter who the investor, it'll count in Australia's GDP, even though all the returns go right out. That's not counted. So Bobby Kennedy had said, too much and for too long, we have surrendered personal excellence and community values in the mere accumulation of material things. GNP counts air pollution and cigarette advertising, ambulances and clearing our highways of carnage. It counts special locks on our doors and the jails for the people who broke them. It counts the destruction of the redwood and the loss of our natural wonder in chaotic sprawl. It counts napalm and counts nuclear warhead and armored cars for the police to fight the riots in our cities. Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit or our courage, neither our wisdom or our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile. And if you look at different countries, whether it was the US in the time when they were really having growth, especially the period from the 1960s to the 1970s, their GDP tripled. Yet during these same 30 years, there was a 560% increase in violent crime, a 419% rise in illegitimate birth, a quadrupling of divorce rates, a tripling of the percentage of children living in single-parent homes, 200% increase in teenage suicide. And in India, which for the last decade was called emerging. Now, obviously an ancient civilization like ours can't emerge. But what was emerging was the GDP, because suddenly GDP was guiding how our economic policy was shaped, but how our society was shaped.